Hey everybody, welcome back. In this video we're going to go over two very important things. We're going to go over classes and objects, and I'm teaching them both in the same video because they work together, and I'll show you what I mean. So if you want to make a class, you just type class. Now it's common practice to start whatever the class name is with a capital letter. And classes are very popular when you're making computer games, so let's act like we're making an enemy. So if I go class enemy, and then I'll do a colon just like I normally would. Now, anything under this class enemy that's indented here is going to fall under this class until I break the indent. So if I want to do how many lives it has, I can put lives equals 5. Now I can do functions in this class as well, and basically what this class is it's a bunch of similar things that are all going to take place for the enemy. So the enemy can attack, the enemy has different lives, different amounts of lives. So anything that can be for this enemy will all fall under this enemy class. And then I'm going to show you how to use objects to call these things and actually use them. So we can build functions into this class that are things that are done for the enemy. So if I want to build an attack function, let's say I can go attack, and now here's something different. PyCharm automatically puts something called self in here and put the colon for me. The reason for this is this function is inside a class, and basically it's saying self means use something from itself. So it would just be like if you had your keys. I'm using my keys, myself, that's how you can think of it. So self is anything that has to do with that class. If you don't understand, you'll see what I mean here in a minute. And then you can print something like attack successful. And then what you can do is you can subtract a life. So you can do self, because we're calling self here because it has to do with the enemy, dot lives minus equals 1. So what that's saying is this self, which is basically referring to enemy, you're going to want to look at the enemy, and there's lives right here. So since there's this variable of lives, you're going to go self dot lives, and then you're going to take 1 away from it. So then that would bring the lives to 4. So let's do a function to check the lives. So if I do function check life, let's say, it's going to do the self for me again automatically, and I can do if self dot lives, and we're going to make this check lives. If self dot lives is less than or equal to 0. Now, let me explain something else here as well. So in game programming specifically, and with other things as well, if you have something that's decrementing, so for instance, when the enemy gets attacked, it subtracts from lives. But let's say somewhere in your game you would be building a weapon that would take away 3 lives, and they're already down to 2. Well, that would go to -1. So if I would put if self.lives equals 0, well, it's not going to work because it's at -1, so it doesn't equal 0, so it would just keep playing. So what you need to do in a situation like that is put if self.lives is less than or equal to 0. So if you have 2 lives and it takes away 3, even though it's -1, it's still going to do this if statement. So then print the enemy is dead. And then in there you can do an else. Print. Now we're going to want this to be a string, because we're putting it into a print statement here, and we're going to use another string with it. So we're going to put self dot lives, because we're going to want to print how many lives there are, plus lives left. Now here's where the objects come in. So this is your class, okay? Now I'm getting out of the class because I broke the indent here. And you'll see I have this class enemy I'm telling it that the enemy has 5 lives. I'm telling it I can attack the enemy. I'm telling it I can check the lives of the enemy. But now, how am I going to call that? Because it would be very hard to call each individual thing by having to write all this code all over again. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to assign this class to an object. So if I want to make an enemy, enemy soldier, we'll say, equals enemy. So basically what we just did was we took this whole enemy class and we assigned it to enemy soldier. Now what I can do is I can put enemy soldier dot attack. So what I'm saying here is enemy soldier is basically this whole class. So it's saying, okay, enemy soldier is loading the class enemy. Okay, great. So now in the class enemy, is there an attack function? Yes, there is. There's the attack function. And then this is what that attack function does. So if I run this, it says attack successful. But remember, we also have in here one that can check the enemy's lives. So if I go enemy soldier dot check lives, and now I run it again, it's going to say 4 lives left, because you see it did what it was supposed to. It did the attack, and part of the attack is to subtract 1 from lives. But now what's nice about this is I can use this class if I wanted to make different enemies. So I don't have to use it just one time. I can use it multiple times. So let's say I had an enemy soldier and I had an enemy, commando. What I can do here is I can do enemy soldier dot attack again. Now I can do enemy soldier check lives, and then I can do enemy commando check lives. Now if I run this, it's going to tell you the attack was successful twice against the enemy soldier. Then the enemy soldier has 3 lives left, and the commando has 5 lives left. So you can see that basically what you're doing here is you're taking this class and basically assigning it to a variable. And then what's happening is anytime you reference that variable, it's going to look into this class or to whichever class it's assigned to and say, okay, is whatever they have here in this class. So like for instance, we put dot attack. So it's going to go up here to the enemy and to the enemy class and say, yep, there's the attack function. Same thing when we go to the check lives. Well, is there a check lives function in this class? Yes, there is. And then it's going to run that code once it finds it. So that's what a class is, and that's what objects are, and they're very, very important in game programming and with other things. And you'll see as this class goes on, this tutorial goes on. But I wanted to show you it this way just because this is a common way that they're used, and it's a way that's easy to understand. All right, so I would challenge you now to mess with this a little bit, write your own class, and come up with some of your own objects and see what else you can use it for. I'll see you in the next video.